Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am so grateful that you are here. My name is Nikki and I channel messages from film and TV shows using tarot and oracle cards. And I'm excited and honored that you are here to receive a reading today. So today I will be channeling messages from baseball films. And I am so excited for these readings. And what inspired me to channel messages from baseball films is it's summertime and it's a great time to go out to a ball game and watch your local baseball team play. And it just has a really good feel to the sport itself. And there are a lot of really feel-good movies that involve the game of baseball. So I had this idea a couple of weeks ago, and I actually had the intention of doing a completely different series this week. And I went out to breakfast with my boyfriend last Sunday, and on the TV they were advertising baseball games, or they were talking about scores of baseball games, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to switch things up and I'm going to do baseball movies this week. And I had so much fun watching all of these films this week, and my boyfriend watched them with me as well, and there are a lot of really empowering messages in these films. So how the reading will work, in the next part of the video you will see 3 different piles. Meditate on the pile that is speaking to you and go to the timestamps that I provide down below for your reference. Also, if any part of a message does not resonate, don't try to force something that does not fit. Only take what resonates and leave what does not. So let's jump into some readings that contain some channeled messages from baseball movies. Hey pile number 1, welcome to your reading. Your film is the 1993 movie Rookie of the Year, directed by Daniel Stern, starring Thomas Ian Nicholas, Gary Busey, and Amy Morton. The film follows 12-year-old Henry Rowengarter, who gets hurt while catching a fly ball, and he breaks his arm. And what happens is his tendons have healed really tightly, and comes to find out he can throw a baseball 100 miles a minute or 100 miles an hour. And he gets recruited for the Chicago Cubs, and he begins playing on a professional baseball team. And the rest of the story that follows is pretty funny, it's inspirational, and I had a lot of fun watching and channeling messages from it. So let's see what your cards have to say and see what Spirit is bringing through in terms of messages for you, pile number 1. Your first card is the Moon in reverse. Justice in reverse. Four Cups. King of Wands. I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. Nine of Wands in reverse. When I cultivate a spiritual connection, I can trust the universe no matter what. My true safety lies in my capacity to align with the love of the universe. I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. There is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. Three of Cups. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. The Wheel of Fortune. The Lovers. And your final card is, I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort. Okay, pile number one. So before we jump into the reading here, disclaimer, spoilers will come through the reading, so just be mindful of that if you have not seen Rookie of the Year. All right, so starting with the Moon in reverse. What Spirit is showing me is that there is a feeling of being disconnected from your own intuition or doubting one's ability to move forward with your dreams or move forward with a passion, feeling stuck and feeling very disconnected, like answers aren't coming in, like you're not hearing your spirit guides clearly or just not hearing your intuition clearly. And I'm also feeling a sense of feeling like, am I doing the right thing right now? Because in the beginning of the film, Rookie of the Year, Henry Rowengartner, who is 12 years old, he plays on a Little League team. And currently, he was in the position of being an outfielder. But he has such a passion for the game of baseball itself. And in the very beginning of the film, he's telling his two best friends that he knows he's going to get to play today because they have a game, or he has a game, and he knows his coach is going to take him off the bench and actually put him into the game. So the camera shoots to this different scene where Henry is sitting in the dugout and he has yet to play. But you see the coach actually take one of the outfielders out of the game and put Henry into the game. And he's so excited because he's so passionate about baseball. But what happens is while he's out in the outfield, a fly ball gets hit his way and he completely misses it. He doesn't catch it at all. And his hat goes over his eyes and he has a hard time trying to find the ball while he's out on the field. And he actually, once he does find the ball, he stands up and instead of throwing it to home plate, like in the direction that it's supposed to go, he actually throws the ball in the completely opposite direction, out away from where you're supposed to throw the ball. And he gets made fun of by all the other players on the team, and it actually like costs them the game. And he goes home feeling defeated and he feels embarrassed because what has happened. So what I'm feeling from this scene with the moon in reverse here, Spirit is showing me that you're very adamant that something is your path, that something is your passion. But Spirit is trying to steer you in another direction. But because you're so focused on this one way, you're not seeing other opportunities that are available to you. Because in the film, Henry was so sure that he was meant to be an outfielder, but what he was actually destined to be was a pitcher. And when he goes home after the game, His mom talks about how his dad was a pitcher when he was a kid, and he's not in their lives. He actually left his mom when he was a baby, and you learn that later in the film. But she talks about how he was a pitcher and that how he probably was meant to be a pitcher too. So there's like signs and synchronicities everywhere that this is what his path is, but he wasn't listening to his intuition. And he, even after having this conversation with his mom, he goes to do the laundry because it's part of his chores to do, and he's actually pitching into the dryer. He's throwing like clothes into the dryer. Pitching them into the dryer. So it's just a lot of little synchronicities here and there that were letting Henry know what his true passion was. And Spirit is showing you the same thing through synchronicities, but because you're so focused on this one path, this one way, it's not really connecting right now. So like how Henry threw the ball in the wrong direction, he was facing the wrong direction. Spirit's trying to shift you into the right direction. But that doesn't mean just because you're, facing the wrong way that you're doing anything wrong. It's all a learning experience. So don't be hard on yourself if you come to find that what you have been working on isn't what lights you up or what you're meant to do, okay? But you are getting a lot of signs and synchronicities, so slow down and open up to your environment so that you can perceive what Spirit is trying to show you. The next two cards we have Justice in Reverse and Four of Cups. So with these two cards, I'm picking up on a karmic situation with a soulmate partner for some of you. And when Justice is in reverse, it typically has a negative energy to it. And with the Four of Cups, this is an energy of feeling dissatisfied in a relationship or feeling very bored or not knowing if this situation is really for you. So when Henry goes home in Rookie of the Year after this game, and his mom, after he does the laundry and his mom is making dinner for him, he's getting a plate of spaghetti, and her boyfriend shows up, whose name is Jack Bradfield, played by Bruce Altman. And Henry's mother is named Mary, and she's played by Amy Morton. Well, Jack comes in and he gives her this extravagant piece of jewelry, and she's very taken aback. And Henry talks to her about this later, and he says he's just coming on too much too fast. And when he does give her this piece of jewelry, you can tell she's kind of like, oh, she's not sure really how to take it. And then like when he goes in to kiss her, she's like, you see her body like stiffen, and her energetically she was picking up on the fact that he was not someone that she was really into. She thought she was, but it was like not feeling satisfied and not listening to the vibes that she was feeling. And he was already giving off all of these red flags to begin with that she wasn't paying attention to. So also with the moon in reverse, this could mean Spirit is trying to point out red flags in a certain relationship. So take that as it resonates and listen to your intuition on that. But however you're feeling on the inside, if you're feeling dissatisfied, if you're feeling a sense of boredom, if you're feeling someone is moving too much, too fast, too soon, pay attention to that, because how you feel matters, okay? A loving relationship is one that is supposed to uplift you, and you're supposed to feel passion and connection and have fun. A relationship shouldn't be boring or bring dissatisfaction in any sense. But there is a disconnect here for some of you with someone that you're in a relationship with, and your feelings do matter with that. So it's important to pay attention to that and pay attention to the energy that the person is giving off in this relationship. All right. The next card we have is the King of Wands, and this is a very passionate king. And I'm drawn to the light at the end of the stick that he is holding. It's like a light bulb has come on or something has been activated. I feel for a lot of you, some of you have spiritual gifts that have just been activated, or a gift has just come online that is moving you towards your passion. And what I'm being shown from the film Rookie of the Year is when Henry, he is at school and everyone's still making fun of him because he missed catching that ball at the beginning of the film. And one of the guys who was kind of giving him a hard time while they're out on the school courtyard, he yells at Henry after school and he said, "Hey, Henry, try to catch this." And there's a girl that Henry likes that is sitting off to the side watching. He doesn't want to look like a doofus in front of her while she's watching this whole thing play out. He takes off running and he attempts to catch this fly ball that this other kid had thrown. And what happens is he slips and he goes flying in the air and he lands on his arm and he ends up breaking it. And what happens is when he goes to the doctor and he has to get a cast, and then when he returns to the doctor a few weeks later, he finds that he, like, when he's in the doctor's office, I'm being shown the scene where the doctor has taken the cast off and is getting him to like move his arm, and you can hear it like creaking. Well, he tells him to like move it down slowly, but instead of slowly, it goes poof, and it hits the doctor in the nose. And this is where you come to find out that Henry has the gift of throwing things very quickly and rapidly. And this is where his spiritual gift was activated. But also, what I'm feeling from this card is a very passionate energy of empowering other people. I'm being shown that you have the gift of uplifting and empowering people. And Henry is so positive throughout this entire film. And he uplifts and he encourages people. He's always trying to make the game fun. And even when people are trying to keep him down, nothing keeps him down. He keeps going. And it's just a very inspiring film to watch in that manner. So I'm seeing what Spirit is showing me is that you have a persistence about you, you have a passionate about you, you have spiritual gifts that are activating right now that are very special. And it's what makes you unique as a person. And you also have this innate ability to shine light into the darkest of situations. Because when Henry starts playing for the Chicago Cubs, he gets recruited in the Chicago Cubs because he goes to a game with his friends. And they have this tradition that when the opposing team hits a home run into the stands, it's tradition that the customers or the people who are there to watch the game throw the ball back. And when Henry throws the ball back, everyone's just completely shocked because it like went 100 miles an hour and he threw it exactly to home plate. And this is where the manager of the Chicago Cubs decided, it's like, I want to talk to this kid. So he goes to his home and finds out more about his arm and actually recruits him for the Chicago Cubs. And he's this 12-year-old playing with these grown men on this Major League Baseball team. But what I was feeling with the King of Wands and the light that shines from the stick there, that ability to empower, to shine light in the darkest of places, to bring love and joy. Well, this goes into the next card here. I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. So with this card, in the film, when Henry first goes into the locker room for his very first game, he sees his idol, Chet Steadman, who's played by Gary Busey, and he has a baseball, and he's like in shock to see one of his, his biggest idols. And he walks up to him and he's like, "Will you sign my ball?" And Chet Steadman looks at Henry and he goes, "I don't sign baseballs." And he just reacts to Henry with such, negative energy. But despite that, Henry didn't let that get him down, even though he was upset that Chet didn't sign his ball. When Chet is out pitching, he is the one who starts the game pitching. Henry stands at the opening of the dugout, and he's like, "Throw him the heater, throw him the cheddar burger." And Gary Busey's character, Chet, he turns around and he stares at Henry, and he's just like looking at him like, can you stop it? Because after he throws the ball, it actually causes the guy to hit the ball. And Henry just kind of leans back. He goes, "Okay, I'll be quiet now." But what he was doing was he was infusing love and joy into this team that was filled with darkness because they had lost the joy of the game. They had lost the notion of having fun with it, remembering why they love the game of baseball. And that's what Henry infuses into this. And that's what Spirit is bringing through this card. I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. So if you are feeling disconnected right now with something that you're passionate about, not knowing what direction to move in, Spirit is saying you can recalibrate your energy anytime you want, because you have an innate ability to infuse love, joy, and light into any situation that you find yourself in, pile number one. And that includes yourself. Not only spreading love and light for other people, spreading love and light for yourself, recalibrating your energy to love and joy. Remembering that you're doing what you're doing because you love doing it, because it brings you joy. And that is when things shift, when that recalibration of your energy takes place, all right? So remember to do this for yourself as well as you are already doing this for other people, all right? The next card we have is the Nine of Wands in reverse. And what this card is bringing through is, there are a lot of different messages with this card, but the main one coming through is a fear of getting out of one's comfort zone. And what I'm being shown, specifically from Rookie of the Year, is once Henry first starts to pitch for the Chicago Cubs, fear completely immobilizes him. And the very first pitch that he throws, the guy hits a home run. So it's very interesting as you're watching this, because you think, well, he has this gift, he's just gonna, do well all the time. But no, he was actually filling into his gift. This has just been activated. It was something completely new. So that's what I love about this film, is that it didn't show him perfect off the bat. It showed him making mistakes. And he walks a lot of players. He hits a lot of the batters with the ball, and he keeps walking them. And then you can see he's kind of starting to shake. And the coach tells Gary Busey's character, Chet Steadman, to go have a talk with him, to uplift him. And Chet goes out there and he gives him this pep talk about the have attitude, and like letting go of fear, like feeling the fear, but not letting it overtake you. And after he gives him that talk, this is where Henry comes into his stride. He felt the fear, but then he had these like little practice runs where he felt his way into it. He was making mistakes. It wasn't perfect. The first guy hit a home run. He was hitting batters. He gets his first strikeout. And it's very inspiring to watch that. But this is what Spirit is saying. If you have just realized a gift that you have, give yourself grace as you are navigating it. It's not going to be perfect at first, especially if you've just come into a spiritual gift, if you're not feeling like you're getting messages very accurately. Take what you are receiving, and eventually the pieces will come together. And the same goes for everything else, taking baby steps. If it's a sport you have a gift with, if it's writing that you have a gift with, letting it happen badly in the present moment is what fuels into the good stuff. So mistakes, and even if you feel like you have been failing at something, all of that is leading to your highest good. It's preparing you for something even bigger, pile number one. All right, so feel the fear, and that will help you get out of that comfort zone if fear has been kind of paralyzing you right now. The next card we have is, when I cultivate a spiritual connection, I can trust the universe no matter what. So yeah, there's just a lot of energy of spiritual gifts, psychic abilities coming in through this reading. Shining light for other people, uplifting other people. So with the moon in reverse and feeling disconnected, your spirit guides are coming in to say that when you cultivate a spiritual connection with them, getting to know them, allowing yourself to, sit with them and see what comes through, when you cultivate that spiritual connection, you can trust the universe no matter what, because you're starting to have a relationship with the spiritual realm. But also, it's about trusting in what comes to you in the physical reality as well. Sometimes Spirit will speak to us through other people to show that we can trust and believe. And this is what happened with Gary Busey's character when he went out on the field and he gave a pep talk to Henry. That was Spirit speaking to Henry to help calm his fears, to help let him know that he could trust, that everything was okay, that his gift was there for a purpose. Okay, so I'm feeling some of you also have people who may be giving you an encouraging word, may be speaking to you to help you trust and believe in yourself more as you're navigating this new territory that you're navigating, this new gift, this new pursuit, trying new things and seeing what works. The next card is, my true safety lies in my capacity to align with the love of the universe. So there's also some fears coming up around not feeling safe, not feeling grounded, not feeling like you have it all figured out. And in the film, Henry is very used to just pitching. Well, a few games in, he's actually asked to bat, and that's completely out of his element, and he is terrified. But he puts himself out there, and as the pitcher is throwing the balls at him, he keeps jumping out of the way, and he screams every time the ball is thrown at him because he's so scared. But he had to use his wits about him in this moment and remember that his true safety, like this card says, lies in his capacity to align with the love of the universe. And when he remembers that, he actually gets walked. He has to walk to the bases because the pitcher threw all balls. And you see, once Henry is on these bases, he starts to trust in himself a little more, and he actually starts to taunt the pitchers, like making fun of them, trying to outsmart them. And you see that he has really moved through that fear a lot. So if you are in a fearful situation where you feel completely in the unknown, you feel scared that you don't know what's going to happen, Spirit is saying to align with the love of the universe, and that is going within. And know that there are other ways to go about something that you're scared of. And it's about opening up your perception to allow that to come in, just like this happened to Henry in the film. He was terrified to bat, but he ended up figuring out a way where he could get the pitcher to walk him by throwing all balls. So you will figure out a workaround for whatever is causing you a lot of fear right now, pile number one, okay? Just align with the love of the universe and you will not go wrong. Next card is, I am unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. And yeah, this is not compromising on anything that you love, being unapologetic about it. So if you have people trying to put you down or tell you that your dreams do not matter, that they're not going to go anywhere, do not let that get in here. Be unapologetic and know that what you are creating will grow because you love it so much. And it's the attitude that Henry has in this film. He is unapologetic about baseball. He knew his coach in the beginning of the film, he was going to get to play, and he did, even though it didn't turn out the way he wanted. And all of those events transpired into him getting this incredible gift of being able to pitch for a major league baseball team. Like, I feel like your spiritual gifts or whatever gift has come online for you right now, Spirit wants you to know that you have no idea the incredible places this is going to take you. So it's important to trust in it, but also be unapologetic about it, especially if you've come across resistance from other people who may not believe in your gift or who might project a jealousy towards your gift. Be unapologetic, but also with that King of Wands energy, I do feel that you're very humble when it comes to these things. I feel like you know how to put people in their place when you have to, but it's done in like a very compassionate way. And just like Henry, he was not afraid to taunt these older men who were playing on this baseball team on the opposing team, and he was a 12-year-old kid. So I'm also feeling this energy of having had very strong traits in childhood that have just infused into adulthood, or having a very good example of that. But yeah, be unapologetic about what you desire. And just like Henry's passion in this film with baseball, whatever you're passionate about, hold on to that and keep propelling forward. Keep being that compassionate, humble energy that you bring. Keep bringing that into your everyday life, because what we do put out into the world, we get back. Next we have, there is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. So what I'm seeing specifically from Rookie of the Year, Henry gets quite popular on this baseball team, and he starts doing these commercials. And there's one scene in particular where he is shooting a commercial for Pepsi, and he's got this tux on, and he's acting like he's playing the piano and he's singing, and he's got these women all around him. Anyway, the guy who's filming the commercial, because Henry like messed up the lines of the song while he was singing it, and the guy who's filming it comes up to Henry and says, "So there's just some things here we need to work on." And Henry's like, "Okay, well, what is it that you need?" And the guy looks at him and he says, "Can you be more sexy?" And Henry looks at him and says, "Are we almost done?" Because he's 12 years old. This is completely not his authentic truth. He wanted to go play with his friends, and a 12-year-old should not be told to be sexy for a commercial, right? And that's what Spirit was bringing through here. There is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. Henry's authentic truth was that he was a child and that he wanted to go and spend time with his friends and, experience childhood. Go work on the boat with his friends, go talk to the girls at school. And it just wasn't resonating with who he was. And that's why when the guy said that, he was like, "Are we almost done?" It's because it's not who he really is. And he could feel that. So also, Spirit is saying if something does not feel authentic to you, to move away from that. That you know genuinely who you are as a person and what resonates within your soul, and that there is nothing sexier than your authentic truth, pile number one. So, in everything that you do, stay true to who you are. Don't let somebody else come in and try to sideswipe, those aspects of you. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Stand in your truth no matter what. Next, we have the Three of Cups. So I know it has a man and a woman on the card here, like something about marriage. Some of you may be getting married, and this could be where some of the fears are coming up from. I'm not feeling that for everyone because this card typically represents friendship. And I'm feeling for some of you, there are some friends who want to hang out or feel neglected or haven't seen you in a while due to you being busy with, your passion project or maybe working a lot. Because in the film Rookie of the Year, when Henry gets this, celebrity status from being on this baseball team, his friends grow resentful and they miss him. And after that, that Pepsi commercial scene that was filmed, he realized that his authentic truth was to hang out with his friends, to make time for them. And he knows that they're mad at him. So he goes to where they have built this boat, and they had been getting it up and running, and they're about ready to take it out on the water. And Henry just he's standing there at the edge of the dock, and he's like, "Hey," and they're like, "Hey," and at first you think they're gonna ignore him, and then they look back at him and say, "Are you coming?" And he smiles and he gets in the boat with them, and then they have a good time. What he genuinely wanted to do. So for some of you, I feel there are some friends who haven't heard from you in a long time that would love to hear from you, to hang out, to catch up, see how you're doing. Call some friends that you haven't spoke with in a while. And I'm also hearing that some of them may have some really good insights into something you might have been stuck with or need advice on. They might have a key piece of advice, or they might introduce you to someone that can help you with something that you have been pondering for a while, all right? So call some of those old friends that would love to hear from you, pile number one. With the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, this is all about it's like a fear of losing money for some of you, or something not going as planned and not feeling financially secure. So what I'm seeing from Rookie of the Year is actually Henry's mom's boyfriend, Jack Bradfield. So when he finds out that Henry has this magic arm, he wants to be his manager. And later in the film, you come to find out that he's actually a very jealous and insecure person, because they have this party for all of the baseball players, and he is sitting at the bar, and you can see he's glaring because he sees that his girlfriend, Henry's mom, is dancing with Gary Busey's character, Chet Stedman, and he's just kind of glaring at him. You can feel his jealousy and his insecurity coming through. So what happens is one of the other guys who works for the Cubs is sitting next to Jack at the bar, and his name was Larry Fisher, and his character is played by Dan Hedaya. And he says to him, he goes, "So, the Yankees want Henry for $25 million. And he goes, if you can get his mom to sign the contract, you will get $2.5 million of that $25 million. And because Jack's in this very dark place, because he can see that his girlfriend has a connection with the pitcher of one of the other pitchers from the baseball team, he gets very jealous. He goes, "I'll do it." So he ends up lying to her about it, and he tricks her into signing a contract that is going to sell Henry to another baseball team. So I'm also feeling an energy of needing to be very mindful with financial contracts that you are moving into at this time, pile number one. It's very important to read all the details, but also pay attention to the energy of anybody who you might be getting bad vibes from, and to respond accordingly to that. Read all the fine print, but also if your intuition is telling you no, trust that, all right? Because just like in this film, this guy tricked his own girlfriend into signing a contract for her own son, and it wasn't even his son. And she ends up breaking up with him later, which that very well could have been what was coming through with the justice card in reverse. Perhaps that karmic relationship also had to do with a situation around money where you thought you could trust somebody and then they deceived or just completely blindsided you in some way, shape, or form. But I do see things evening out there, but also Spirit is saying when it comes to lessons like this, to pay attention and to learn and grow from them. So if this was also something that happened in the past, trusting yourself that you're not going to make those same mistakes again, okay? That you're not going to allow yourself to be deceived. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers. Yeah, this is another message of a relationship coming through. I'm seeing Henry's mom with Gary Busey's character Chet and how they're dancing, how they end up falling in love. And it was after she let go of the manipulative guy that she was, seeing, where the Wheel of Fortune, the karma turned in her favor. Good luck came in and she manifested a very loving connection and someone that her son loved as well. And they connected very well. And what is actually very beautiful about the film is that whereas in the beginning when Chet wouldn't sign Henry's baseball, after a few games you see Henry go in the locker room and he had signed Rocket on the ball and he tells him thank you, and he's just smiling because there had been a complete shift in energy there. So it was like everything transpired to let go of that karmic cycle so that new energy could come in and create a very beautiful relationship. So I am seeing that for some of you as well. Letting go of what no longer serves so that this beautiful new relationship can come in that doesn't leave you dissatisfied, that leaves you feeling loved, uplifted, having fun, filled with passion. That's what these two cards together epitomize, and that's very beautiful. The last card is, I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort. So at the very end of the film, in the championship game, Henry actually slips and falls and lands on his arm again, and he comes to find out that he has completely lost his gift. And that's what this card is epitomizing. He had to find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort, because losing that gift was very rattling, and it was in the final game. But the growth that came from it was teaching him that he didn't need that special gift, that it was all within him to begin with. Because he calls everyone into the pitcher mound, and he tells them, he goes, I've lost my gift. So he goes, I have a plan though. So he still didn't let fear get the best of him. He used his brain to figure out how to still win this game. And they work together, and they are able to outsmart the other players with a lot of really cool little maneuvers that are known in baseball, like certain plays. And then also he comes to find out that the glove that he is wearing was actually his mom's, where she told him that it was his dad's, and his dad was a pitcher, but he comes to find out his mom was a pitcher. And this is foreshadowed throughout the whole film. And she tells him to float the ball across the mound. And when he listens to her and he takes that advice, he actually does authentically strike out the exact same guy who had hit a home run in the very first game he ever pitched. And it was the same guy, except in this game he struck him out. So if you have felt like you have lost a gift of some sort, there are lessons in that, okay? There's a lesson in sitting with that, sitting with the discomfort. And there was also a scene in the film where Gary Busey, he was losing the strength in his arm because he was, aging as a pitcher. But he had an incredible last game, and he also proved to himself that he could still come out on top, and he does. So it's a matter of knowing that, all the gifts that we have, that they may be temporary, and that is 100% okay. It's important to cherish them while we do have them. And when things are dark and bleak in our lives, to look for the growth amid the discomfort, because that will also help bring a sense of ease when we change our perception to look at it in that way. So everything happens for a reason. And any gift that we have, while it may be temporary, it's still a part of who we are. And it's a matter of making sure that we utilize it fully while we have it. So this is also a message of, I'm feeling like some of you are like, well, I have this gift and I don't really feel like I'm putting it to use. And Spirit is saying to lean into that and to embrace the gifts that you have, and see the growth in the discomfort of feeling those emotions that you're feeling. But it's important to never take any gifts for granted, and to make full use of them while we have them, because we don't know how long that will be the case. So that is all that I am seeing, pile number 1. Those are your channeled messages from the film Rookie of the Year. If you enjoyed it, drop a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to like, subscribe. I am so grateful that you were here, and I will see you on the next video. Bye. Hey, pile number 2, welcome to your reading. I am so grateful that you are here. Your film is the 1993 movie The Sandlot, directed by David Mickey Evans, starring Tom Guiry and Mike Vitar. This film follows Scotty Smalls. In the summer of 1962, he moves into a new home with his mom and stepdad, and he doesn't have any friends, and he's very insecure about himself, but he eventually finds friends with these 8 other boys who love to play the game of baseball on this sandlot in their town. And once they all come together, it is a summer that is unforgettable. So let's see what your cards have to say and see what messages Spirit is bringing through for you, pile number 2. First, we have Judgment in reverse. Princess of Wands. Two of Pentacles in reverse. Five of Swords. I feel my way into faith one step at a time. Queen of Wands. The universe is always conspiring to support me, guide me, and lead me compassionately toward the highest good. Two of Cups in reverse. I accept that good things come easily. I am a super attractor. My vibes speak louder than my words. When I'm in alignment with the love of the universe, peace cannot be disrupted. My outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. Hope is the conduit for miracles. Knight of Hazards, which is also Knight of Pentacles. And your last card is the Three of Hazards or the Three of Pentacles in reverse. All right, pile number 2. So before we jump into the reading here, disclaimer, spoilers will come through the reading. So if you have not seen the movie The Sandlot, just be mindful of that as we go through the reading. Starting with Judgment in reverse, what Spirit is showing me with this card, pile number 2, is there's something going on in your life right now that is causing you to be very overly critical or to judge yourself very harshly for something at this time. And what I'm seeing specifically from the film The Sandlot is in the beginning when Scotty Smalls moves to this new town with his mom and his stepdad, he has a very difficult time making friends, and he actually prefers to spend all of his time in his room with his erector sets. He's actually very smart, and he just has this tendency to isolate himself away. He doesn't think that he is capable of making friends. And he says repeatedly, I don't think I'm good at anything. I'm just an egghead. and he like puts himself down in the beginning of the film. So Spirit wants you to be very mindful of the words that you are speaking about yourself, but also to give yourself grace with something, or if you have made a mistake with something, or you don't feel like you're putting yourself out there like Scotty didn't feel that he was doing in this film. Don't be hard on yourself. It's just a matter, picking yourself up and keep trying, keep moving forward, keep trying new things, because judging yourself will not do any good to help make the situation any better. So it's like kind of leaving those negative judgment thoughts at the door and moving past those in order to move into an energy that feels much better to you. Because eventually Scotty does, get out of his comfort zone, and he finds out that there is this group of 8 guys who are playing baseball every day at this sandlot in their town. And he doesn't actually get invited to go. He just shows up there. And that took a lot of guts to do that. So Spirit is showing me that you have guts with putting yourself out there with, things, and to, celebrate yourself for those times where you have put yourself out into situations to like meet new people or to do something you haven't done before. And just because it didn't pan out like in a perfect way, to not be hard on yourself despite that, because everything is working out as it is supposed to. So commend yourself for putting yourself out in situations where you previously wouldn't have done that, because it does take guts to do that. That's a very bold thing to do and something to be commended for. All right. The next card is the Princess of Wands. And this is an energy of someone uplifting and encouraging, helping someone step into who they are. I feel very strongly for some of you, a lot of you have a really cool mom or a really cool feminine presence in your life. Now, this card doesn't have to be gender specific, and typically they aren't, because everyone has masculine and feminine energies within them. But what I'm being shown specifically from the Sandlot is Scotty Smalls' mom, who is played by Karen Allen in the film. And I'm very surprised that she's not showing up as a queen card, because the Princess of Wands is typically a younger energy. But when Spirit was showing me the scene from Sandlot with this card, what she did very well was when Scotty was being hard on himself, calling himself an egghead, she was like, I want you to make some friends this summer, lots of them. And what she's doing is she meets him where he's at. She meets him at his 12-year-old level. And she says, hop fences, scrape your knees, get dirty, get into trouble. And she's like, how many mothers do you know would say that to their sons? And he was like, none, mothers, I guess. And she just really epitomizes this cool energy. And Spirit brought her through the Princess of Wands card because she was meeting Scotty where he was at in the present moment with his age level, being 12 years old, relating to him in that sense to help get him out of his comfort zone. So I feel a lot of you have had mothers or a parental figure like this who has done something like that, who has helped you get out of a comfort zone, who has pushed you to meet people, to put yourself out there. And this very well could be you if you're a mother. Perhaps you're the cool mom or the cool dad who has uplifted their children and helped them not be so fearful about navigating into the world to make friends or to try something new, to go out for something such as baseball or cheerleading or something within the school, like an extracurricular activity. So this card is all about someone who helps someone become the best version of themselves and also has this creative, passionate energy. And I feel this is someone around you, or this could epitomize you. And it's a very beautiful energy that Spirit is bringing through here, through the reading. The next card is Two of Pentacles in reverse. And this card, when it's in reverse, it epitomizes juggling too much and or working too hard, working a lot of long hours and not having time for one's family or time for relationships in general. And what I'm being shown from the Sandlot is Scotty's stepdad, Bill, played by Dennis Leary in the film. In the beginning, he is promising Scotty that he will teach him how to play catch, but he is typically too busy. And Scotty's mom tells Scotty to go and ask Bill one day to teach him to play catch. And he goes, "No, Mom, he's busy." And she goes, "No, you go up there and ask him." So he goes and asks him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll help you play. I'll teach you to play catch." He goes, "As soon as I get done with this." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But then Scotty's mom comes in and says, "Bill, couldn't you spare half an hour and teach him now?" And he goes, "I would, but I'm just really, really juggling all this work right now, and I just don't have time to do it." And she goes, "How long could it take?" And he goes, "All right." So he ends up getting up. He leaves his work until later, and he goes and he teaches Smalls to play catch. So I'm also feeling an energy of overworking or not having time for family and friends, or someone, or feeling like someone is doing this in your life where you want to spend time with them, but they're working so much. And in those situations, Spirit is saying it's important to communicate how you feel, but also if you are the one who has been juggling a lot, working a lot, and it's kind of, caused relationships to fall to the wayside, to make sure to make time for those that you love, because we're only here so long, and the time we spend with our loved ones, it does matter. So be sure to make time for those you love. The work will be there the next day, all right? The next card that we have is the Five of Swords. So this is bringing through a conflict energy, and this is all stemming from a need to be right, not wanting to let go of being right about something. And what I'm seeing from the film The Sandlot is when Smalls, he puts himself out there. He goes to the Sandlot and he sees these guys playing baseball, and he is like enthralled and mesmerized by how good they are at this game. Anyway, Benny, who is the star of the team, he loves baseball. He hits a fly ball towards Scotty, and he's like, "Hey, watch out," because this is when they first realized that Scotty has showed up on the field. He wasn't invited there, but he, was putting himself out there. But he has his glove ready to catch the ball, and he ends up just completely not catching it, and he falls. And he goes to grab the ball, and he attempts to throw it back, but he just completely fails at that. It doesn't even go more than 2 feet in front of him, and all the guys, they just bust up laughing, and they fall to the ground, and Smalls is humiliated. But Benny was the soulmate friend, who saw the potential in Smalls, and he ends up going to Smalls later and asked him to come back. And all of the guys are opposed to Smalls coming back and playing. And they're really mean to him. And they're like, he can't throw, he can't catch. And Benny, he goes, I can rotate 8 positions instead of 7 now. And they're like, but he cannot throw and he cannot catch. Like, they're just very adamant about that. Like, they don't want to let go of the need of being right. Whereas Benny actually sees the potential in Smalls. And he's just like, base up, you blockheads. Benny goes out to the field and he teaches Smalls how to throw a baseball. He goes, have you ever done a paper route before? And he goes, I helped a guy once. And he goes, okay, well, pull your arm back like you would throw a paper. When it gets here, just let go. And he goes, okay, well, how do I catch it? And Benny looks back at him and he says, stick your glove in the air. I'll take care of it. And sure enough, Benny hits a fly ball and he catches it and then he throws the ball. And then all the guys, like all the conflict that they had before, they completely had done a 180. Like and then like you see Squints, one of the other guys on the team, he's like, he's all right. Whereas before he was like, the kid is an L7 weenie. But this is where they start to see Smalls as part of their group and they let him in. But because they could not let go of the need to be right, they would have really missed out on a great friendship with Smalls had they not listened to Benny. So there's something Spirit is trying to bring to your attention in terms of letting go of the need to be right about something. There could be preconceived notions about someone, or someone has preconceived notions about you, one situation or another here, and it all stems from letting go of the need to be right, because that will create a lot of conflict, and that can prevent us from truly seeing people as they really are. Because if Benny had not been on that team, if he had not come in and said, hey, like, give this kid a chance, then things wouldn't have transpired in the film the way they had, and they wouldn't have had one of the best summers of their life. So I'm also feeling an energy of someone like Benny coming in to help you. If there's somebody who is pegging you wrong or not giving you a chance, there's someone advocating for you, a soulmate friend like Benny does with Smalls. So very cool energy there. Pile number 2. With the next card, I feel my way into faith one step at a time. What I'm being drawn to is the bridge here. And in the back of the sandlot is this fence, right? Well, the day after Smalls starts playing on the team again, they come back 8 o'clock sharp the next morning, and one of the guys on the team, Ham, he hits a home run and the ball flies over this fence. And you see that everyone on the team's like, no, we can't play no more. And they keep hitting him. And Smalls is like, it's okay, guys, I'll go get the ball. And when they see that Smalls is going to hop over the fence to get the ball, they all start screaming and running at him. And they're like, what are you doing? You could have got killed. And then he's like, well, what are you talking about? And they're like, the beast. And he's like, well, what's that? And they all look at each other and they're like, camp out. And when they all have this sleepover in this clubhouse where Squints tells this story about the beast, which happens to be this like massive dog on the other side of this fence. So every time a ball goes over the fence, nobody wants to go over and get it because they don't want to get killed by this dog that supposedly has eaten all these kids and thieves in the town. And it's just like at the end of the story, Squints is talking about how the man who lives in the house that owns the dog, Mr. Myrtle, once they found out that his dog was the one that was killing all these kids and killing all these thieves, asked how long he had to lock up his dog. He said, forever. So with I feel my way into faith one step at a time. There's something that's going on in your life right now it feels like it's going to take forever, just like in the Sandlot. It feels like you're never going to get out of it. It feels like things are not transpiring in the way that you would like. And what I'm seeing here is that it will take some faith on your part to move through the fear that you are feeling one step at a time, showing yourself that there is nothing to be afraid of. And this was what Smalls does, like this entire film. He put himself out there on that field. If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have, made a fool of himself to the point where Benny would have recognized him showing up there in the first place and inviting him to come back. So if he hadn't had enough faith to do that, he wouldn't have had one of the best summers of his life. So there's something Spirit is saying to have faith with, to feel your way into it a little bit at a time, because then you show yourself how powerful you are. So if there's something like, I don't know, it also feels like for some of you, there's like a similar story, just like in the Sandlot, where, nope, we can't go over there because there's a dog that will kill everybody, or somebody has told a story that has prevented someone from moving forward with a certain situation. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to feel my way into this because I'm not quite sure if I want to believe what was just told to me. So whatever you're going through, feel your way into faith one step at a time, because those little baby steps will show you how strong you are and that there really is nothing to be afraid of. All right? It's not going to last forever. Then we have the Queen of Wands. So got some strong female energy on this reading, I can feel, because what I'm being shown is Wendy Peppercorn's character in the Sandlot. And this scene is where Squints and Yaya, they went to the local store to get a baseball or to pick up something in general, and they come out and you see Squints just stop, and you see Wendy Peppercorn walking down the sidewalk, and she is strutting. This is a woman who knows her worth, she knows her value, and that's what the Queen of Wands epitomizes. So I'm feeling very strong energy of some of y'all who like to strut, and I think that is amazing. Always strut, because that is confidence, that is charisma, that is a beautiful feminine energy that the Queen of Wands epitomizes. But the Queen of Wands also really values passion and is very confident in oneself. So I'm feeling a lot of energy of having like a newfound confidence with something, or having spoken your truth, having put somebody in their place, or also having a very unique style with how you bring something across. But this, I'm like feeling very drawn to throat chakra, having spoken one's truth in regards to something, or also this is an energy of having had a glow up, like perhaps maybe have had a day at the spa. Like I'm just seeing like how Wendy Peppercorn was so put together, and the way that she walked, like it was sexy and confident, and that is what the Queen of Wands epitomized here. So I'm feeling a lot of feminine energies on here who are fierce and just have that strut, and Spirit is here to say to never ever let that go, because that's part of who you are, and that confidence like is contagious. All right, so very, very cool message. The next card we have is the universe is always conspiring to support me, guide me, and lead me compassionately toward the highest good. So with this card, it's, the message is in of itself, the universe is is always conspiring to support you, uplift you, point you in the direction of your highest good, all right? So after this scene in the Sandlot where Squint saw Wendy Peppercorn, they got the ball and they also got like stuff to drink, and they go to the Sandlot. And once they get there, everyone's just like fanning themselves and they're all hot. They're like, it's too hot. We cannot play baseball today. And they decide to go to the pool instead. Benny did not want to do anything else but baseball. He lived, he breathed baseball. But on this particular day, because it was so hot, he had to do what was for the highest good of the rest of the group, right? It was way too hot. They could have potentially got sick from playing in that heat. So they did the next best thing, which was to go to the pool and cool off. So I'm feeling a very similar energy here for some of you, whereas it's not ideal to do something right now. It's ideal to do what is for the highest good of all. So if there's something that would, make you sick or that would not be good for your health, to do what is right for yourself, that the universe is supporting and conspiring to help you towards your highest good so that you stay in, the best shape physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So like, whereas in that scene where Benny wanted to play in the heat, but it would not have been good for everyone, it could have led to, heat exhaustion. The next best option was to cool off and go to the pool. There is another option available. Spirit is saying, whatever this is, let go of what would not benefit you and the group as a whole. Do what would benefit the collective altogether. What is the best option there? And it's okay to take a break from something else to enjoy other things in life as well, is what the message is, and that the universe always has your back in regards to those things. With the Two of Cups in reverse, this is a karmic soul connection for some of you. And what I'm being shown is Wendy Peppercorn and Squints, because this is like the only relationship in the film other than Small's mom and dad, but it doesn't really show them together so much, and all the interactions they have are healthy. But what Squints does at the pool is he jumps into the deep end, because Wendy Peppercorn is a lifeguard at this pool. Well, anyhow, he lied so that she would save him and give him mouth to mouth. But while she is doing that, he ends up kissing her. And she's like, "You little pervert!" And then she kicks them all out of the pool. I mean, at the end of the film, you learn that they get married and they have 9 kids. So what seemed to be a dire and bleak situation actually benefited both of them later on. But in terms of this card, because it's upside down, because it's in the reverse, Spirit is pointing out a connection that is one that is difficult in nature. And I'm seeing how, like in the film, how Squints deceived Wendy. I'm feeling like there was some sense of betrayal or deception, lying about something. This could also have been how they got you to go on a date with them, lied about something to get you to go on a date. Like the whole relationship starting off on a lie of some sort, and it was like having not paid attention to that red flag, and it's like now things are coming to the surface, and trying to figure out the best way to navigate that. Karmic soulmates teach us the biggest lessons that we will ever learn here. We grow the most from these connections. They are the ones that teach us a lot about ourselves, a lot about self-love, but they also teach us what we do not want in a partner, or what we don't want to experience in a relationship altogether. So if you are in a very difficult relationship with someone, something that started based off of a deception or a lie of some sort, I am seeing that it hasn't all been bad. Like, I'm seeing that there was very loving moments, but it's like there's an energy of not being able to let go of having been deceived or lied to. And Spirit is saying, if this was how it started, this was a red flag that was coming up, and it's teaching you to acknowledge those red flags and, put your foot down and say, no, this isn't what I want. So whatever is going on in this situation right now, there's a lot of growth here, but it's also teaching you about what you do want and what you don't want in a relationship, and how you choose to respond to that, because it's important to trust your intuition when it comes to relationships, whether, to leave one or to stay. That is all up to you. It's all of the intuition and feelings about that is being communicated to you, but it is important to pay attention to red flags as well. Next we have, I accept that good things come easily. I am a super attractor. So Spirit wants you to know how powerful of a manifester you are. And the scene that I am being shown from The Sandlot is on July 4th, where all of these boys decide to have a night game. And while they're playing, the sky is just lit up with all of these fireworks. And that's like what I'm getting vibes of the card here, where it's like pow, pow, pow in the sky. And during this particular scene, you hear Smalls narrating the story as an adult, and he talks about how all the guys on the team, baseball was just a game, but to Benny, baseball was life. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever is life to you, like baseball was life to Benny, it's important to hold strong to that dream in your heart, knowing that what you're manifesting is to accept that these good things come easily to you, that you are a super attractor, that your dream reality in terms of whatever this passion is already yours. It's just a matter of aligning with it and believing that you deserve it, accepting that good things come to you easily, getting very clear on what your beliefs are, and then watching as these dreams become a reality in the physical right now. So that's such a beautiful message from that card, pile number 2. Next we have, my vibes speak louder than my words. So energy does not lie, and oftentimes if we're presenting ourselves in a certain way, but we're meaning to come off another way, people can feel that energetically. People feel what we feel about ourselves. But what I'm being shown from The Sandlot is a couple days after the 4th of July, fireworks display show that they had in the film. They're out, all the guys are out playing baseball on the Sandlot, and this baseball team of little leaguers, they show up at the Sandlot on their bikes, and they stop, and all of the guys that typically play on the Sandlot, like Benny and Smalls, like that group of guys, they all throw their gloves down and they start storming towards this group of little leaguers who have just come on their field on their bikes. And you see them like stop and stare at each other. And before they even say anything, you can feel the vibes that they don't like each other. Like, you feel that energetically before they even open up their mouths. So this is what Spirit is bringing through about vibes. But also, I feel that you have an innate ability to pick up on vibes of other people, but also to remember that the energy we put out does not lie. Our vibes do not lie. And in that scene, the lead guy on the other team, he basically puts down everybody on the other team, saying that Benny is the only one who's any good at the game. And he basically tells everybody else that they're rejects and losers. And Ham stands up to him, and they have like this banter where they're calling each other names, and he ends up yelling at him. Ham ends up yelling at him, "You play ball like a girl!" And everyone just like gets silent. And he's like, "What did you say?" And Ham was like, "You heard me." Like, Ham was not afraid of this dude at all. But the message being brought through that scene was the vibes felt, like the energy and the tension felt between these two people. I'm also feeling that you have been someone who has often been caught in these situations where other people have been fighting, or you have felt that there was going to be a fight, and you could cut the tension with a knife. And this has actually been priming you to look out for red flags. What was coming through with that Two of Cups in reverse is like you pick up on energy before someone even says anything. So listening to that will help you. But also I could see that Spirit has been training you through other people to pick up on this energy. So like if you've been in situations and you know two people are going to fight with each other before they even say a word, vibes speak louder than words. And that's before anything is even spoken. But that's a powerful gift to have. And that is a great way to gauge red flags. Next card we have is when I'm in alignment with the love of the universe, peace cannot be disrupted. So with this card, the two teams that we were talking about in the last scene of the movie, they end up actually playing a game, and Benny's team kills this little league team in this game of baseball. Like, they just dominate. They're just amazing. And to celebrate, they decide to go to this carnival. Well, one of the guys, he brought along this packet of Big Chief chewing tobacco, and he gives everyone some of it to chew on. But then they get on this ride that spins around really fast. And in the midst of doing that while chewing the tobacco, they actually get sick, and they create this big mess where they're getting sick everywhere. So what Spirit is bringing through this message is that it's important to be mindful of the substances that, that we're putting inside of our bodies, whether, that's alcohol, chewing tobacco, smoking, whatever it is, unhealthy foods even, because that can get us out of alignment. Because what I'm seeing from this card is like a lot of intuitive information coming in, but other substances blocking those messages, because this is like creating this chaotic energy around this wisdom that wants to come through the crown chakra. So I'm seeing there's some blockages in terms of some type of substance that is being consumed. And this is not me here saying to not do anything. I would never tell anyone to not do something. But it is to be mindful of, if you're wanting to tap into intuitive gifts or strengthen them, there are substances that you may need to let go of so that the messages can come through more easily, all right? Because the messages come through when we are in a place of peace. And if we have unhealthy substances in our bodies, that can disrupt that peace, and it can knock us out of alignment. So that is a message for a select few of you. I know that won't resonate with everyone, but yeah, just be mindful of substances if you're trying to receive intuitive downloads at this time. With my outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. So what happens is the day after that carnival, after everyone got sick, the next day, Smalls is still not feeling at his best, and his mom and dad are going on this trip and leaving him alone for a little while. And his mom puts her hand on his forehead and she's like, "Are you okay? You look a little pale." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." So you already know the start of this day, he is not at his best. And he goes and he plays baseball, and it turns out that this ball that they are playing with, Benny hits it so hard that it knocks the skin off of the ball, and they all take it to be like this cool omen. And while they were all upset that they couldn't play ball anymore because they didn't want to have to scrounge up the money to go buy a new ball, they were happy with what they just witnessed. But Small says, "I have a ball." And they were like, "Well, go get it." So he goes home and he takes the ball from his stepdad's baseball memorabilia stand in his office. It was actually signed by Babe Ruth. So he takes that ball because he doesn't know who Babe Ruth is. Anyway, they pitch the ball to Smalls and he hits a homer. He hits the Babe Ruth over the fence, and they're like, "Oh." He goes, "That was great," but because it was his first homer. And he's like completely in shock. He's like, "We've got to get that ball back. We've got to get that ball back." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And he ends up telling them that Babe Ruth had signed that ball. And they're like, "Babe Ruth!" He goes, "Yeah, you keep telling me that. Who is she?" And they're like, "What?" "The Titan of Terror, the Colossus of Clouds, the Colossus of Clouds, the Great Bambino." And he's like, "What? That's the same guy?" And they're like, "Yes." And he's like, "I don't feel so good." And he like drops to his knees. But it just goes to show that he was already not feeling good when this day started. This was a day where he probably should have, taken that as a sign to rest, and not feeling good because that was, happening on the inside. He manifested this really crappy situation where he got him into the biggest pickle of that summer. So Spirit is saying to be mindful of how you feel. If you wake up in the morning and you don't feel well, it's important to pay attention to that, because that is often our body communicating to us, even energetically, what we might experience in that day. It's our body's way of telling us that we need to rest. It's our body's way of telling us not to go out and do something. But also, if we're feeling negative on the inside, that will be reflected out here in some way, shape, or form. That's why the card says, "My outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition." So this is Spirit saying some things can be prevented if you pay attention to how you feel on the inside, all right? The next card is, "Hope is the conduit for miracles." So what happens next in the Sandlot, all of these guys, they make it their mission to help Smalls get this ball back. So they use all these contraptions, and it's like they get very close, but they are unsuccessful. This dog just keeps dominating and taking the ball away from them. So what happens is, after the last failed attempt, because Smalls brought in his Attractor set, they brought in a vacuum, they tried all these different methods to get this ball back. Well, after one more failed attempt, they go home, and Benny has this dream where Babe Ruth actually comes and visits him. And he goes, "I heard that a ball with my John Hancock on it went over this fence and you're trying to get it back." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What do I do?" He goes, "Well, hop on over there and get it." And he gets up to leave, and he's like, "Oh, wait, that's it?" And he goes, "Well," "Yeah, well, what else would there be?" And he goes, well, there's a giant beast dog on the other side of that fence. And the guy's like, let me tell you something, kid. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. He goes, follow your heart and you'll never go wrong. And then he leaves. So the next day, Benny wakes up with like this newfound boldness, courageousness. And he has this hope that he is still holding on to, while as the rest of the team has kind of been like, I don't know, we failed, this is it. He is like, no, I am going to do something about this. And he actually creates a miracle from that hope. He hops over the fence and he faces off the dog, and it's like they're standing there staring at each other. Anyway, he takes off running at the right moment, and he grabs the ball, and he turns around and he hops the fence. But as he's doing that, the dog chases after him, and the chain breaks where the dog has been latched onto. And as soon as Benny hops over the fence, the dog hops over the fence, and this dog chases him all through the town. And this scene probably goes on for about 10 minutes, or like 8 to 10 minutes. But you see how Benny faced his fear, but then he had the consequences of that, and how strong he was. And like, he goes through this movie theater, he goes through this like festival where they're having all this food, and he's like throwing all this garbage down to try to like get the dog to prevent him from, hurting him and whatnot. But he ends up going back to the sandlot, and he hops over the fence again, and the dog hops over the fence, but then the fence falls on the dog. And Smalls goes, help me, he's hurt. And Benny actually throws the ball to Ham and helps Smalls lift up the fence so that the dog can get out from underneath. So all of that hope infused into this very positive situation. And it's a very beautiful moment in the film. So whatever you're going through right now, it's like that. Like, I feel like some of you are getting messages in a dream like Benny did, where he was told, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. So it's like some of you are building something that is going to create this amazing legacy where you're going to be remembered for a long time to come. But it's important to hold on to hope, even while it might seem like faith is, fallen by the wayside. Faith and hope is what is going to help propel you into that boldness, into that confidence, into that high self-esteem that will lead to the ultimate miracle, like it did in Sandlot, pile number 2. Because that is what the Knight of Pentacles was. This was all about Benny and making that decision to hop the fence, but not really thinking through the consequences of what would happen. He did not know that the dog was going to jump over the fence. So whatever you're contemplating right now, be very mindful and weigh all your options, and don't act hastily. But also, the Knight of Pentacles is someone who knows their worth. So this is totally Benny's character, someone who lives and breathes their passion like he does with baseball. And just never letting that go, holding on to the hope, the faith that everything is going to transpire. But there is a message of being aware of energy, being aware of vibes, being aware of red flags, and weighing all potential options and the consequences of one's actions. Because if you look on the card here, there's a guy and he has hit his car into this light because he didn't weigh all of his options, and it led him into a situation that he would not prefer. So assess all risks is what Spirit is bringing through. The last message is the Three of Pentacles in reverse, and this is all about collaborating with a team, listening to each perspective, hearing people out, and letting your own voice be heard as well. So in the film, after the fence has fallen on top of Hercules, they decide to go knock on Mr. Myrtle's door, and you see that Mr. Myrtle is played by James Earl Jones. And he says to them, well, if they say to him, we knocked a ball over into your fence and then we tried to get it back. And Mr. Myrtle just kind of is taken back a little bit, and he says, well, why didn't you knock on the door? I would have gotten it for you. And everyone starts hitting squints, because this was actually something Smalls had come up with when they were trying to figure out how to get the ball back. He had said, why don't we go knock on the door and ask Mr. Myrtle for the ball? And Squints is like, no, Mr. Myrtle is the meanest old man that ever lived. He's the one that made the beast eat that kid. And if they had not listened to Squints, they would have saved all of this heartache and pain, all the stuff that they went through, and he would have just got the ball for them. So the final message is to collaborate with other people, to hold space for other people's perspectives, but also make sure that your own voice is being heard. And just because one person says, no, we can't do that, that doesn't mean that that is the case. Whereas in the film The Sandlot, if they had knocked on the door, they wouldn't have had to trial those other methods and ultimately lead to Benny having to hop the fence and then have the dog chase him all through the town. So collaborating and holding space for each other's voices and unique perspectives is what will also benefit your current situation, pile number 2. That is all that I am seeing from the film The Sandlot. If you enjoyed the reading, drop a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to like, subscribe, and thank you so much for being here. And I will see you on the next video. Bye. Hey, pile number 3, welcome to your reading. Your film is the 1994 movie, Angels in the Outfield, directed by William Dear, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Danny Glover, and Christopher Lloyd. The film follows young Roger, played by Levitt, who in the beginning of the film is in a foster care. And him and his friend JP, who's also in foster care, they like to sneak into baseball games to see the Angels play. Well, on their way home one day, Roger returns to the foster care home he is staying at, and his father is there to visit him. And he doesn't really have good news for Roger. He basically says that things are going to transpire in a way where they're probably not going to get to see very much of each other. And when his dad goes outside and gets on his motorcycle to leave, Roger says, when are we going to be a family again? And his father looks at him and says, when the Angels win the pennant, which he was being very sarcastic because the Angels did not have a winning streak. They were one of the worst teams in the league. So Roger prays that God will help the Angels win the pennant because he wants a family. And that's how the rest of the film is set up. And this is a movie that gives me all the feels, and I'm excited to see what messages come through for you today, pile number 3. So let's take a look at what your cards have to say. First, we have the 10 of Cups, Knight of Wands, Four of Swords, Eight of Cups, It's Good to Feel Good, Six of Cups in reverse, Three of Swords, Believing in spiritual guidance gives me certainty and the freedom to keep dreaming even when I can't yet see the result. My energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. When I'm grateful for what I have, I can feel good along the way to what I desire. I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. Page of Wands in reverse. When I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas will form naturally, support will surround me, and movements will form. Ace of Swords. The Devil in reverse. I witness the darkness and call on the light with my prayer. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love. The Emperor. And Ten of Cups, right at 444, which is an angel number. So yeah, this reading begins and ends with the Ten of Cups. So that is a very good omen to start this reading with, pile number 3. All right, before we begin, disclaimer, there will be spoilers that come through. So if you have not seen Angels in the Outfield, just be mindful of that as we go through the reading. All right, so starting off with the Ten of Cups. This is a card all about emotional fulfillment and being surrounded by love and just feeling so content with oneself and with where one is at in their life right now. Being surrounded by people who love you unconditionally. So since this is at the beginning of the reading, I feel that a lot of you are wanting to manifest a family or manifest love in your life, people who do love you unconditionally. And what I'm being shown from the very beginning is where Roger, after he has that interaction with his dad, he actually starts speaking to God and he prays to him and he says, God, if there is a God, if you're a man or a woman, he said, I could really use your help right now. He goes, I really would like a family. And my dad said that we'll be a family again if the Angels win the pennant. So if you could help them out a little, I'd really appreciate it. So he puts his wish out into the universe and he prays for what it is that he would like to see in his life. But also at the same time, what Spirit is bringing through with this card is that while, yes, it is 100% okay to put, your dreams and your intentions towards what it is you want, but also to remember to see what is already in your life right now, to see the love that is already there. Because Roger, he also had JP, his little sidekick buddy, who went everywhere to the games with him and they had such a good time. There was love there. And also there was love with his caretaker, Maggie. So he had Maggie and he had JP, and there's also another kid staying at the foster care named Miguel. I am feeling for some of you, perhaps when you were growing up, you resonated with Roger. Perhaps you grew up in a foster home. Perhaps you helped out at a foster home, or there was something to that degree there. And always, feeling like Roger did, wanting a family, wanting that emotional fulfillment. But I'm also feeling an energy of people who are on this reading right now who also want to manifest a family, want to manifest their soul tribe so that they can start a family, settle down. And with your first card coming out as the Ten of Cups, it's definitely in the process of manifesting. So just continuing to believe in that. But also what Spirit is saying is to not forget about the people in your life who love you unconditionally right now, just like JP and Maggie did for Roger. So Spirit is saying to not forget those who are showing you love while you're wanting to manifest more love into your life, okay? So just being very mindful of that energy while you're waiting to manifest this emotional fulfillment in that way. The next card is the Knight of Wands. And this is an energy that feels very enthusiastic, feeling very excited, and just feeling overwhelmed with joy with something that is happening in one's life. So what I'm feeling from the film, Roger and JP, they go to an Angels game, and Roger starts to see angels actually helping the players on the field. And this angel in particular named Al, who's played by Christopher Lloyd, shows up and says to Roger, "Hey, you're the only one that can see us." He said, "We heard your prayers and we're here to help. That's what we do." But Roger is so passionate and so enthusiastic with this newfound gift that he has. And he proceeds to tell the coach of the team, George Knox, who's played by Danny Glover, what is going on. And Danny Glover is very skeptical, but at the same time, there's a part of him that still believes that Roger is telling the truth. So at the game, what happens is one of the players, who's played by Matthew McConaughey, he's going to catch this fly ball, and an angel comes out of the sky and lifts him up off the ground and helps him catch the ball. And then another player goes up to bat, and Roger sees that there is an angel with him as well. And when the ball is pitched, the bat actually breaks and he hits a home run. And after Roger tells George Knox that these men had angels with them, he goes and he talks to the men, because Roger said, "Ask them what's going on. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll let you know that they felt someone with them." So he goes to Matthew McConaughey's character in the film, and they're like rewatching him catch the ball and like be carried as he catches the ball. And Matthew McConaughey, he's like, "How did I do that?" And Danny Glover goes to the other guy who had an angel with him while he was batting the ball, and he goes, "Yeah, it felt like someone was swinging with me. It felt like someone was literally there with me, helping me swing the ball." So George Knox starts to become less of a skeptic, and he lets these two kids start coming to every game as good luck charms, as a consultant. And the Knight of Wands is an enthusiastic energy. So anytime that Roger sees an angel, he looks at George Knox. He's like, "Mr. Knox, Mr. Knox, come here, we got one, we got one." He's so enthusiastic and passionate about it. Like he's really embracing this gift that he has been given. So I feel for some of you, you have the ability to see angels, or you have the ability to see spirits, or you have a spiritual gift of some sort that has come online. And Spirit is saying to never lose that enthusiasm that you have with that gift, because when it comes to our gifts, we don't know how long they are going to last. So it's important to embrace them while we have them, to cherish them, and to not take them for granted because of the fact that we have that gift and we're meant to use it in some way, shape, or form to help humanity, to help other people, to help uplift and encourage people. So the enthusiastic energy that Roger has once he can start seeing these angels is the same energy I feel for some of you who may have the same ability to see angels, see spirits, feel energy. Keep that enthusiasm, because it is part of who you are, and it is part of something that you are here to do for a bigger purpose. Pile number 3, okay? With the 4 of Swords, for some of you, Spirit is asking to take a rest from something, being overworked, or maybe doing a lot to help the collective in some way, shape, or form, doing a lot at a job, needing to take a break with something. What I'm being shown specifically from the film is Tony Danza's character, Mel Clark. There is a scene when he is in the locker room and he is just soaking in this hot tub. He's relaxing, and he actually hasn't played in a game for a while because he had been injured and he was also having an issue with his lungs. And you actually see that throughout the film where he is coughing. So if you are feeling burnt out, or your energy is feeling drained, or you're feeling sick in some way, shape, or form, Spirit is saying to take a necessary rest to conserve your energy so that you can show up to help the people that you're meant to help in a more powerful way, because your energy is primed for that. We cannot serve from empty cups. You have to fill up your own cup first, and that includes rest, recharging, rejuvenation, and also cleansing your energy to help prime you for the next time you go to do healing work, or go to do psychic work, or go, to do work at your job. If you're a therapist, if you're helping people in any way of the word. Okay, so some of you, Spirit is saying to take a rest, to soak in water, also to cleanse your energy. Because I was specifically seeing Tony Danza in the hot tub in the locker room, seen early on in Angels in the Outfield. Next we have the 8 of Cups, which this is an energy about walking away from something, letting go of something that no longer serves you. And what I'm feeling very strongly for a lot of you is a feeling of anger and resentment. And what I'm being shown specifically from Angels in the Outfield is George Knox's character, played by Danny Glover. Before he interacts with Roger and JP and knows that there are angels actually helping the team, you see that he is a very angry man. When they are losing, he actually goes out on the field, he argues with the refs, he's cussing, he's swearing, he goes into the locker room and he belittles all of his players. There's even this table full of food. He walks in and he just flips it over and the food goes flying everywhere. He's just a very angry man. So Spirit is saying that whatever you are angry about, it is 100% okay to feel that way. However, there are more healthy options as to get that anger out of your system, okay? Going on a rage walk, journaling out your emotions in a journal. That helps to get the emotion out of the body and onto the page to help you feel it. EFT tapping, where you tap and you're like, I'm angry, this is why I'm angry. And you just tap on certain points of the body. That also helps to feel the emotion, to free it from your body. Okay, so I'm feeling very strongly that this Eight of Cups is in relation to negative emotions within you, things that have been repressed from a long time ago. And this movie actually has a lot of commentary on things that would cause anger to fester. And you actually see later in the film why Danny Glover has been acting the way that he has. It's actually because he resonates a lot with Roger and JP. He also had a father who was very similar to how Roger's father treated him, so they connect in that way on that level. And this was actually a lot of where his anger was stemming from. Somebody that he thought was supposed to always be there for him and to protect him, but continuously let him down. And this was how Roger felt. And when George Knox meets Roger, he sees a lot of himself in Roger, and it actually helps him to dissipate that anger. So there might also be, for some of you, a child in your life who is helping you to let go of these angry emotions like Roger does with Danny Glover's character, George Knox. So this could also be letting go of just anything that's toxic or not good for you or is preventing you from moving forward with something you want to pursue. Limiting beliefs, unhealthy habits, unhealthy food, whatever that is, Spirit is saying that it's time to walk away from what is no longer serving you. That doesn't mean it wasn't serving you up until this point. It means now it's no longer serving you because you're meant to go somewhere and you can't take those things with you, okay? The next card is it's good to feel good. And once George Knox starts hanging out with JP and Roger all the time, you actually do see him soften, and he's smiling more, and he is having a good time getting to know these two children. And JP and Roger actually invite George Knox to come and play a local baseball game where they invite all the neighborhood kids in. And George Knox actually pitches the ball to the kids as they're batting. And you can just see that this is where he feels so good. So for some of you, I see that you feel good when you're helping children, when you're putting a smile on children's faces, or perhaps you feel good when you help out at a foster care, or perhaps you even work at a foster care center. Because some of you actually, I feel, know what it's like to having had lived in a foster care, and you don't want children to feel that way. You want them to know that they are loved unconditionally. You love putting smiles on their faces. It makes you feel good to see children feeling good, to see other people feeling good, to see smiles on people's faces. And when you know that you are helping out in that way, I see that this is what fulfills you on the inside. So I'm also feeling an energy of some of you, like maybe working at a job where you don't feel like you're able to do those things, but these are things that you might do on the weekend, or these are things you want to do but you don't feel like you can because of a job that you feel is holding you back. That could also be what this Eight of Cups is epitomizing, letting go of a job that you don't feel like you're really contributing to the world in the way that you want, like feeling unfulfilled in that way and wanting to move towards your joy. I feel so strongly some of you are here to work with children, light workers, and even like psychic abilities, helping children to embrace their gift. Because George Knox, he was the only adult other than Maggie at the foster care who Roger talked about having these psychic abilities with. So some of you are here to help children embrace their own inner light, their divine light, and to strengthen their psychic abilities, spiritual gifts from a very young age that will help them to even help heal other children around them, and just using your light in that way. That is really, really cool. So when you feel good, other people feel good. When you help other people feel good, you feel good. And Spirit is saying all around for you, it's good to feel good. So letting go of, any pain from the past because you don't want to bring that into your present. It does not have any room in your present moment anymore, pile number 3, okay? With 6 of Cups in reverse and the 3 of Swords, this is an energy of for some of you of having had dealt with some childhood trauma, and with the 3 of Swords, really having your heart broken over that, grieving over something that happened when you were a child. And what I'm being shown specifically from Angels in the Outfield, there is one game in particular where Roger cannot attend because he has a court hearing. So Maggie takes Roger to the court, and Roger has no idea what's about to happen. Well, when he goes into the courtroom, his dad just kind of grabs his shoulders because his dad was in there, and he basically had just handed custody of his son Roger over to the state. And he just grabs his son's shoulder, and then he walks out, and Roger's just like, "Dad, where are you going?" And he just completely ignores him. So what these types of things do is they create abandonment wounds in children. And you can see how heartbroken Roger is in this moment. And Maggie embraces him and tears are streaming down his face. I'm feeling that there was an energy like this that was similar that happened for some of you. And Spirit is saying that in this present moment right now, working on that healing, working on healing that abandonment wound, giving yourself the love that your father, I'm feeling father very strongly because that's what was shown in the film, and that's a lot of what this film is about, is healing the abandonment wound that may have been caused from a parental father figure. It could have also stemmed from a mother as well, but feeling very strongly that this had to do with a father leaving or a father not being in one's life, and just creating so much heartbreak and grief and pain. And when we have an abandonment wound from one of our parents, it actually does create a lot of energy of not being able to trust, or thinking that people are going to abandon us and that we won't be protected, because that is what a father is supposed to do. But we also have these karmic lessons that we come to Earth to learn, and we have learned the abandonment wound for a reason, and a big purpose of that was to help other people heal from it as we learn to heal from it. Because our light that shines out as we heal, not only are we healing our own ancestral lineages, but we're also holding space for other people to heal from it as well, and also sharing our experiences. So if you have unresolved trauma around an abandonment wound, Spirit is saying that it would be beneficial to look at these things when you are ready to do so, and to start healing your heart, and to give yourself the love that your father or your mother or whoever took care of you was not able to give you, to give that love to yourself. All right. Next we have, believing in spiritual guidance gives me certainty and the freedom to keep dreaming even when I can't yet see the result. So George Knox is very skeptical when Roger tells him that he has seen angels. But after speaking to the other baseball players, he starts to come closer to Roger. And he starts to believe. He starts to believe when Roger sees angels. And one thing that JP, Roger's younger friend, who's also in the foster care system with him, he says repeatedly in the film, hey, it could happen. Because there's one scene in particular that I'm seeing where George Knox asks JP if he can see angels, and he goes, no, but hey, it could happen. And he's still like holding out on that belief that he could see angels, even though he doesn't in this moment right now. despite the fact that Roger does. So Spirit is saying to develop that attitude of, hey, it could happen, and believing in the spiritual guidance that is coming your way. And to keep believing in that guidance, even when what you are waiting to transpire in your reality, you can't yet see the results. Believing and having that, hey, it could happen attitude is what will keep that belief and that hope and that faith strong, pile number 3. All right. Next we have, my energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. So shortly after Roger starts going to these games and letting George Knox when he sees angels, there's one game in particular where it's about halfway through the game and Roger has not seen an angel yet. And George Knox is cursing in the dugout because things aren't going the way that he wants in the game. And Roger stands up and he's like, Mr. Knox, and he asks Mr. Knox to come over, and he says, you know, I'm beginning to wonder if the angels haven't shown up because you keep swearing. Maybe if you stop swearing, they would show up. And George Knox looks at him and he's like he's very taken aback by that. And as he walks away, he starts swearing even more, but he's like doing it under his breath. But he thinks about what the kid says, and he's sitting in the dugout and he yells at his team and he says, hey, no more swearing. Like, he actually takes it to heart what Roger told him. And this is where the energy shifts, and this is when an angel actually does show up. So my energy creates my reality. His energy, when he was in that negative space, when he was swearing, when he was just projecting a lot of negative energy at his teammates, the angels weren't showing up in that energy. But once he shifts that and he tells everyone to be mindful of swearing, that is when the angels show up and they start helping in the game. So this is kind of the metaphor that Spirit is bringing through with being mindful of our energy and how that contributes to manifesting our reality, and what we focus on will grow. So cultivating as much positivity as possible. That does not mean to sweep the negativity under the rug. That means to allow yourself to feel it, but also it's learning about how to respond rather than react. Because if we are reacting, that is what we are going to contribute to manifesting in our reality. So Spirit is saying being mindful of your energy, pile number 3. Next we have, when I'm grateful for what I have, I can feel good along the way to what I desire. And what I'm being drawn to from Angels in the Outfield is the man that actually sits with Roger and JP in the stands, and he gets them anything that they want. He brings them nachos, he brings them food, he buys them Angels jackets. But the very first day that he's there, every time they get them food, they squirt ketchup all over his clothes, and he keeps getting messy. But what I'm feeling from this is an energy of sometimes feeling like you're not appreciated, that people aren't grateful for you. And I feel an energy of feeling unappreciated, kind of like this man felt, like doing all these things for people and then not returning that back. And Spirit is saying that if you want to shift that, to also start practicing gratitude yourself. Like if you have a gratitude practice in the morning, saying thankful for the things that you already have, that will also help to put energy towards the positive things that you want. When you are grateful for what you already have, you can feel good on the way to what you desire. So if you're feeling unappreciated, start practicing gratitude for people in your life, because what we put out, we get back. Okay? So gratitude is a very strong message that's coming through Spirit right now. Next 2 cards, we have the Page of Wands in reverse. And I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. So a very interesting thing happens in Angels in the Outfield. So when Roger sees an angel, he will actually go like this. He'll float his arms like wings. So that's what I'm being, drawn to, the wings on the card here. He will float his arms like wings to let George Knox that he sees an angel. And he only sees angels with certain players. And the players that Roger sees, the angels around, are the ones that have kind of been deemed the worst players on the team. And in one scene in particular, he says, your player over there, he has an angel. She's rubbing his shoulders. Put him into bat. And George Knox is like, are you kidding? He's the worst batter that I have. Why would I not use my best batter in this ending of the game here? And Roger said, because he has an angel with him. If you want to win, put him in. And you could see George Knox not really wanting to trust, but he goes against what he wanted to initially do, and he listens to Roger and he puts in his worst batter. Anyway, the first two swings, he completely strikes out. And then an angel shows up and stops the ball right in front of the bat to the point where he can see it and he hits it. So what this message is bringing through with the Page of Wands, this is like an energy of being scared of failure or resorting to perfectionism, thinking that things have to be perfect. If George had went with the option that he thought was going to be perfect to help win the game, it wouldn't have panned out the way that he wanted, because Roger had already seen an angel with one of the specified players on the team. And this says, I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. So sometimes the universe will guide us in ways that we don't quite understand, but it's important to listen to that. Sometimes we're guided to people that we have no idea why we are guided to. Perhaps they need your light. Perhaps you have a healing word for them. Perhaps this is an opportunity to uplift and encourage them. Perhaps they are someone that can help you heal, or in some way, shape, or form. The universe likes to send people to us that we don't quite expect. So always be mindful of who shows up in your reality. And Spirit is saying to not brush people off who you're not quite certain as to why the universe is bringing these people to you. There is a purpose for it, okay? So always trust that you're being guided. And if we write people off too quickly, then they wouldn't be given the opportunity to surprise us, just like this batter does in this scene of the film. When I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas will come naturally, support will surround me, and movements will form. So at the end of the film, there is this radio talk show, the radio sportcaster named Ranch Wilder. And he comes to find out that Roger can see angels and has been communicating this to the coach, George Knox. So he makes a big deal about this, and he tells the head of the team, the person who owns the Chicago Cubs. And this man calls George Knox into his office and he says, if you don't let go of this nonsense, you're out of here. I will give you an opportunity to make a statement at this press conference, and if you don't say what I want to hear, then you're out of here. So at the next press conference that they have, he is all ready to give a statement. He stands up in front of the crowd of all the ball players and everyone who's there. And then he sees that Maggie, Roger, and JP come through the door. And this is where his energy shifts. And he goes, well, I was going to read this statement, but I'm going to speak from my heart instead. So he chose to speak from the joyful place of his heart, his truth. And this is when people started to support him. He said that he didn't know what was going on the field, but that he chose to trust in a higher power that was helping his team. And he chose to believe in Roger, and he chose to believe that angels were actually helping the team. And this is where support starts to surround him, where they all stand up. They're like, I will not play for anyone except for George Knox. And they all stand up to support him. And that's actually what it says on the card. When I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas will come naturally, support will surround me, and movements will form. So when you make your joy, your truth, your priority, that is when the universe conspires to bring that support to you, to help bring downloads of brilliant ideas, to help people support you in the way that you may be looking for at this time. So the key here is joy, and always being authentic to who you are and speaking your truth no matter what. Pile number 3. Next, we have the Ace of Swords. And this is the card of cutting through the BS, getting straight to the point. And at the same press conference, Maggie, the woman who takes care of Roger and JP, she stands up at this press conference. She says, I'd like to say something. And she says, it sounds like you're saying it's okay to believe in God, but it's not okay to believe in angels. And she's like, that's kind of a double standard here. She's like, when a football player drops to a knee and thanks God for a touchdown, nobody questions that. But you're going to question this child seeing angels? And she just spews truth into this room. And everyone's like, yeah. And it was just very powerful that she spoke her truth in that manner to help bring light and help people see what they were not seeing before, because she made a very good point and she wasn't afraid to stand up for what she knew was right. So I'm also seeing this sort of truth just coming into your life right now, you speaking up about something that matters to you, speaking out for a cause, helping to make real change with something in your life. Like I see that you're like a person that would stand up in a group of people and just speak out against whatever it is you want to speak out against, or speak up for whatever it is you want to speak up for. And having that power, it's like major throat chakra healing is what I'm feeling. I feel like you've done a lot of healing on your throat chakra. Or if this is what you are moving into, continuing to do that will definitely still help you stand firm in the words that you are speaking. But yeah, I feel like you have had some very strong examples of females like Maggie who wasn't afraid to speak their truth, and that was, an inspiration to you, that where now you have this gift. A lot of you have the gift of using your voice to make change. So Spirit is saying to make sure that you utilize that to your full potential. Pile number 3. With the Devil in reverse, I am seeing a lot of you have broken an addiction of some sort. And I am feeling very strongly for some of you that it was cigarette smoking, because in the film, at the very end, the head angel Al, he comes to the championship game and he lets Roger know that Mel Clark, who is played by Tony Danza in the film, is actually going to become an angel within 6 months. And Roger was like, why? And he said, well, he smoked for a long time and it took an effect on his lungs. So he will be well taken care of though. So for you personally, I'm feeling that because this card is in reverse, this is a pattern that you have left by the wayside. And if it's not cigarettes, it's an unhealthy habit of some sort. Perhaps it was eating unhealthy foods. Perhaps it was drinking alcohol. Perhaps it was using substances of some sort. Breaking a really deeply entrenched karmic pattern of addiction in some way, shape, or form. And this was also next to the Ace of Swords. So some of you could also be here to advocate for breaking addiction and helping people heal from it, helping people find their own personal power by sharing your personal story to help inspire people. Because when people see examples of how other people have overcome addiction, it really does help to shine light on how they can do it for themselves. And then they go on to be an inspiration. It creates this amazing ripple effect. So that is how powerful you are, pile number 3, that, breaking an addiction and then being able to use it to help others is very powerful. Being able to stand in that darkness, but yet still bring the light. Very, very cool. We have, I witness the darkness and call on the light with my prayer. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love. So what I'm seeing is at the very end of the film, when the lead angel came back to talk to Roger, he let him know that the angels would not be helping in the final game, that those games had to be won without the angels' assistance. So Roger has this fear because the angels aren't going to show up. And he calls George Knox over and he says, the angels aren't going to help us. And he can actually see that Mel Clark, who's played by Tony Danza, he's a pitcher, he's getting really tired. And George Knox is like, well, this is what we're going to do. And he whispers a game plan into Roger's ear. And he goes out on the field and he says, I just want to let you know that I believe in you and that you're doing great. And then you see Roger stand up and he actually starts to wave his arms and he turns back to Mel Clark and he says, looks like you got an angel with you. He goes, yeah. He goes, the kid sees one. He goes, well, he's doing the sign. And as he does this, it creates this massive ripple effect throughout the whole stadium, and everyone stands up and they're all just showing Mel Clark that they believe in him. And that it is like believing in the spiritual guidance together as a whole, that they believe that he is capable of winning this game. And with that, Mel Clark goes on to pitch the final ball, and then they win the pennant, and then George Knox runs up to Mel Clark and he goes, you did that all on your own. And he's like, what? Because he had told him that he had an angel with him. So just having that belief was enough to inspire him to believe in himself. And that is what the best medicine is for fear: belief in oneself. Knowing that angels are always with us, but ultimately they want us to believe in ourselves. They want us to believe in our potential, to push through that fear, to show ourselves what is possible. And it created that massive ripple effect throughout the whole stadium, and it was really beautiful. So with this card, pile number 3, whatever darkness that you have experienced, and being able to call on that light while standing in your darkness is something that is to be commended. And that you are here to do very big things. And also the fact that you have had darkness from the past and that you're able to still bring the light, that is epitomizing how to view the world through the lens of love. And the best way to learn anything is through love, through belief in oneself, through faith, through the magic of just being who we are as humans and creating connection in that way. It is very, very powerful. The last 2 cards we have are the Emperor and the 10 of Cups. So your reading began with the 10 of Cups and it ends with the 10 of Cups. But also, if you see off in the distance here, you see this darkness that they have left behind, and there's this happy family on this beach. So this is ultimate emotional fulfillment. This is having that family that you've always wanted. It's having children, being with the one you love, being in the sun, taking vacations. It's whatever that looks like for you, whatever emotional fulfillment looks like for you, whatever having a family looks like for you. That is how the reading is ending here. And that is also how the film ends with the Emperor. The Emperor is epitomized by George Knox, who plays Danny Glover. And he makes the decision to adopt Roger and JP. He wants to be their father because he has connected with these children so much. And as you look on the card here, you see the child standing behind him. He wants to protect these children with all of his heart. And the Emperor, to get to the point of being an emperor, this is a person who has their own battle wounds, but has used those to propel himself further on his journey. He did not let those battle wounds leave him behind. He didn't let those battle wounds define who he is. And George Knox says to Roger that he also had a father who was not always there for him. So he really sympathizes and empathizes with Roger. He sees a lot of himself in Roger. So he makes the decision to adopt them at the end of the film. So some of you could also be wanting to adopt children right now, or children that remind you a lot of yourselves when you were kids, who also have that Knight of Wands energy, who are very enthusiastic, who bring smiles. But I'm also seeing like a lot of laughter, making ones laugh a lot. Like George Knox in this film, he laughs so much when he's hanging out with these two kids, and it was really profound to see, whereas he was so angry before that before he had met them. So there's a lot of really powerful Emperor energy coming in, but that ultimately led to Roger's wish fulfillment, whereas in the beginning of the film, he wished to have a family and he wished for the angels to win the pennant. And that was granted to him because he never stopped believing. And that is how the reading and the movie end, with ultimate wish fulfillment, having the family you've always wanted, having your emotions fulfilled, having unconditional love, and being surrounded with so much love in your life because of the ripple effect that you are contributing to putting out in the world. Pile number 3. So, so beautiful. And I love that movie so much. That is all that I am seeing from the film Angels in the Outfield. If you enjoyed your reading, drop a comment down below, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.